it really is, unless you look in the mirror and own yourself fully, you can't do anything about it.
Hey, Mike, welcome back to Real Men Feel. It's good to see you again.
Thank you, Andy. It's great to be back.
Cool. And, I want to give some backstory. So Mike was a guest just a few months ago, I think, maybe even less. Yeah. It was an episode entitled How Men Must Lead, all about taking responsibility. Leadership. It was episode 238, if you want to find that. After that show, I was sharing with Mike that a program I had done back in 2019, episode 149 with Ami Quirconi, entitled Men in Emotionally Abusive Relationships Dealing with Feminine Narcissists. And it had a couple, 100 views like most of the episodes on YouTube do. But then something happened this year. Earlier this year, it just caught fire, and it quickly went to over 54,000 views, and more importantly, hundreds of comments, hundreds of guys telling their story. Yeah. And so I mentioned it to Mike, and after we had recorded Mike's prior episode, he shared a bit of a past experience, and I asked him if he would like to talk about that, and no, he didn't. But then he came around. So, and even just before we started rolling today, you talked about your resistance to speaking of this. So let's start there. What is the resistance to opening up about this experience of yours?
It's real simple, Andy. It's the shame of it. The shame that I would put myself in that situation, the shame that I would make the decisions I would make, the shame on what the attraction was built on, and the shame on who I was being during it. These were not my proudest moments. And it went on for a long time. It was highly destructive and inexpensive in so many ways, emotionally, physically, spiritually, personally, financially. And I was a willful participant in it. And then when, you invited me into doing this, I'm reluctant. And at first I was going to just come in and flame the young lady, right? And just, she's this and she's that. And, yeah, she's a sociopath, but listen, it takes two to tango, And I really, for the last 2 weeks, I've been really inquiring, like, what is my responsibility in this? What is there for me to own? And also, what is there for me to learn? And I think that's the part that has been the real gift of this, right? And but also it's just the sheer insanity and chaos of it, like it was crazy,
So let's dip in it. So yeah, looking back, like why do you call that relationship? Why do you see that was a sociopathic relationship?
Well, I think I told you the reason I think it was a sociopathic relationship was after it ended, I had to go to therapy, right? I was in therapy and I'm talking to a therapist and I mentioned the woman's name and I live outside Chicago and I was, I live out in Naperville and I'm just going to a therapist. It was in Naperville. And what I didn't know is the therapist lived in River Forest where this woman lived and literally lived less than a block away from her and was in the same women's kind of empowerment group with her and actually knew her just by pure cosmic happenstance, right? And so she said something to me. It was probably after 6th or 7th session. She says, listen, I'm just going to cut to the chase. There's nothing, because I was like beating the shit out of myself, right? I'm like beating the crap out of myself. I'm an idiot, like this and this and this. She says, listen, there's nothing wrong with you. She's a sociopath. And I'm like, what? And when she said that, it was like this weight was lifted off me. Like, not that I was a victim to it, but I was trying to figure it out, and there's nothing to figure out with that. I made a bad choice and I stayed in it. And, I can look and see why I stayed in it, but I didn't know what I got into, man. It's like that thing had way more horsepower than I had capability to manage, right?
Yeah.
And that's really what it was. And that was really the freeing moment, But she was a sociopath. She lied constantly. She manipulated constantly. And, she just, I never knew where I stood. I mean.
And somehow it distorted, like, I imagine in the moment you didn't see, I'm being lied to and manipulated.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
No, absolutely not. No, dude, the sex was off the chart, right? So that's all it was. That was a blinders. That was the thing I was addicted to. It was amazing, right? And so I kept going back for that, even though the cost was so great. And I think we touched base on this in the first time I was on. One of the challenges with dudes is this idea of winning at all costs. And so I viewed winning as having this incredible sexual experience, and the all cost was every other aspect of my life, you know? And it was like, holy cow, you know? It was nuts. It was just nuts. You know?
So you mentioned in the past couple of weeks, looking at what was your responsibility, what was there to learn from a relationship. Had you not done that until this recently?
I hadn't done it with her. Oh no, I mean, I've asked that question, but you know, this went on a while ago, but I didn't do it. You know, I thought I was in love. You know, I thought we had this spiritual connection. I thought we were, you know, this faux intimacy that was just incredibly exotic sexual experiences, right? So I was collapsing the two, and I didn't know, and I just was completely and utterly irresponsible and arrogant, you know. So it was I didn't think about it. I didn't look. It was like it was hot. It was hot. Let's get it on, you know?
Yeah, that topped any possible issue. And I get that. Like my relationship like this, it was much the same way. There's a hook of the drama and the roller coaster and the ups and downs. It all adds to the crazy excitement of sexual energy. And
exactly. And it adds to the chaos, the thrill of the whole thing, you know? Yeah. It was nuts. It was just plain nuts. And then you throw in drugs and alcohol and other stuff, and it gets even crazier.
Yeah. Yeah. So in hindsight, were there warning signs you missed or ignored?
Not too many. She was really clever. I mean, she was really good. She had 9 simultaneous relationships going on at the same time.
Right. And was that like, was it an open relationship? Was that part of your agreement, or that was a surprise? Okay.
We bought a house together.
Wow.
No. It was a complete surprise. But she traveled for work, right? And in every town she worked in, she had a dude. And sometimes she had more than one dude. And in Chicago, she had 2 dudes, you know? And I mean, she had an incredible lustful appetite for, you know, carnal pleasure. And she made no bones about it. I mean, she was,
Was this relationship an anomaly, or is this kind of one in a series? Is this the kind of things that you did follow? Did you like the drama and the chaos of relationships?
Well, this relationship was an on and off relationship from the time I was 17 until I was like in my mid 50s.
Oh, wow.
You know, so it's been the thread of everything. I mean, it's almost destroyed me. I mean, seriously, almost destroyed me. And so, no, I never had another relationship like this. You know, this was not a series this was a unique thing. And what it did, it impacted, I mean, it cost me my marriage. It impacted other relationships I had. It would be ever present. You know, if there was someone else that I wanted to get together with, you know, this thing would pop up and it would ruin that. You know, it destroyed just about every aspect of my life.
Wow.
It was really amazing.
What was the final straw that made an off again, on again thing be off for good? If it's off for good, maybe I'm assuming something.
It's off for good. I was faced with someone very close to me. My wife was diagnosed with a very severe form of cancer, and was given a short period of time to live. And who I had to be with her during that time was, this couldn't be any part of that. You know, what really happened was it got to the point where my life became so unworkable, and I saw that was the source of the unworkability. I just had to put it away. You know? And I didn't do it in a way like, I didn't call her out and call her names. I just said, listen, I can't do this anymore, you know? And I just stopped. And it was, and I didn't hear from her. And then I heard from her later, but I just never got back into the whole thing. Yeah, because we had broken it off 100 times before that, you know? But finally, just really getting clear that I don't know what it was. It was just a series of things. I got present to the destructive nature of it. I just didn't want to do it anymore, you know? And I mean, it cost me jobs. It cost me probably millions of dollars, you know? And I think also too, who I was going to be for my son, you know? I mean, my son witnessed this strange behavior. He didn't know what the source of it was. but he witnessed a strange behavior. So, it probably, like I said, I probably was doing this till I was 51 or 52, and it started when I was 17. It's crazy.
Did you ever come close or decide like that, oh, I should be marrying this woman, she's who I should be with forever? Or was it always just serious yet not formal or something?
No. I thought about it, but then I also knew there was something a little bit off. I was looking for that confirmation that, maybe she's the one, and it never showed up. And I think that was part of it too. It was like looking for it over and over again, but because we had done everything together, we shared our lives together, but there was just something always missing. And I was astute enough to understand that without being present to it mostly. But no, we bought a house together, but it didn't quite get there. Thank God,
And was your wife aware that you had this on again, off again thing happening?
That's why it cost me my marriage. Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay.
But she's been remarkable. We're together now, and she's survived the cancer thing. That's the remarkable part. She was given 6 months to live, and this is 13 years ago, and she's fine now, So in a weird way, this thing kind of gave me, I don't know if I'd be doing what I'm doing today if this didn't happen, because it had me really look at the real dark side, that whole Jungian darkness, and really fully own every aspect of that shadow side of my life, Yeah. And it wasn't pretty, man.
What I appreciate in you, at least now, I don't know about when this was immediately going on, your willingness to be introspective and to see that you had some responsibility, that there was action, you had some actions in this. Because what I see, especially the guys commenting and guys responding, and there's a tendency as a defense mechanism, I believe, for if a guy gets hurt, all women are they're all psychos, they're all crazy. You can't trust them, and you get to escalate one experience into all experiences.
Yeah.
Did you do that? Do you see other guys doing that?
Well, of course. I went through there. But, what you're talking, again, what's really interesting, Andy, is this whole thing occurred right about the time when I really started taking this transformational thing serious, right? I was a seminar leader at Landmark Education, and I was getting into being a professional coach, and I was doing all this stuff. And I was kind of done with the corporate leadership thing, which was my track, and done with the macho stuff because it just wasn't paying off. And I was really in this kind of inquiry, and started. And what I discovered, like, every choice I made was bad, and what was, so of course I went through like women are bitches and this and that, but the fact of the matter is not true. There's some women out there that are, you shouldn't hang with, but there's some guys out there you shouldn't hang with, but it really is, unless you look in the mirror and own yourself fully, you can't do anything about it. You just become a victim. And I get it, man. The thing is, the thing that this whole being with, sociopaths or narcissists does is it puts you in this position of shame, and shame is a core wound, really will put you in a condition of hopelessness. And when you're hopeless, there's almost no way out. It's tough. And I have very few times in my life have actually been in a condition of hopelessness. But, when we started the show, that's the thing. This experience really had me be shameful. And because when you're shameful, it's just, you just view yourself as a complete pile,
Right.
Like that's what takes people to suicide and things like that. I never once had a thought of suicide, but that's how it gets there, And as men, I think the thing we've got to be mindful with one another is to really, when we see a brother that's in shame, we gotta be with that guy, because that's a dangerous condition to be in.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, shame is one of the most destructive things, and it's one of the last things a man will ever want to admit to or own.
We will cover it up. We will bury it. We will put blankets over it. We will wear a tuxedo. We will do all that to cover it up, right? And we will not own our shame because we are bad. There's a flaw in us, And no, dude, you just made a bad choice. And if you make a series of them, you might want to start looking at the decision-making process, the wall of thinking, what are you valuing? What are you trying to accomplish? That's a deep dive. That's a heavy conversation, you know? Yeah. But, you know, I am of the belief very few people are inherently evil or wrong and bad or anything like that. Everything's, as long as we're taking breath, it's recoverable. I'm a walking testament to that. I should have been dead a million times. You know, nobody should have talked to me. I was a jerk.
Yeah. Yeah, I love what you're saying about shame. Like guilt is, I did a bad thing. It's about the thing. It's about one action. And shame is, you internalize it and just, I'm not worthy. I am horrible. I am hopeless.
Exactly. Yeah. I am a piece of dung. You know? Yeah.
And I do have a background of suicidal thoughts and attempts. And so my experience with an emotionally abusive woman was in my early 20s. Yeah. She was at least 20 years older than me. She never told me her actual age. And that was part of it. Yeah. Huh. And she taught me, she was married. She told me all women cheat and just get used to it. And this is how life is. And let's have fun. But she was an alcoholic and really threw herself at me a couple times. And I'm trying to, oh no, man. And she was a manager where I worked. It's my first job out of college. So I'm like, no. And then oh, well, this is how adults are. Then there was a part I feel like an adult. I'm having an affair. How cool is this? And it wasn't that cool, but it became destructive. And I had that hopeless. And my distortion was, I feel so shameful and hopeless. Maybe I should kill myself, or maybe I should propose. That's the extremes of both destructive ends that I was willing to see.
What ends up happening is a distorted sense of love. And what love is, we don't even know what love is. Yeah. You know? I mean, it boils down to, you're living the Maggie May song by Rod Stewart, you know? There's this element of objectification, and as men, we can never be objectified. Well, that's bullshit. We've been objectified millions of times. Yeah. You know? Yeah. And that's the whole thing. We've got to cease the practice of all versions of inhumanity. You know, we just have to stop it. And that's my commitment. And that's actually the gift of the whole thing is I am no longer going to practice inhumanity with anybody. You know, it just doesn't work for me.
So I wanted to ask if there was, in hindsight, in the moment, what was the biggest lesson? So realizing that even someone that at times you might have hated and want to put down, you don't want to treat anyone like that. Is that it?
No. Listen, I don't hate her. I don't want to be around her. She's dangerous to me. She's kryptonite, you know? I don't want to see her. I don't want to be around her. I don't even really want to talk to her. But I don't hate her. I wish her well. I hope she finds peace. You know, I hope she finds love that she wants. I hope she finds fulfillment. I hope she gets everything she wants. I hope that for everyone, you know?
Yeah. And that is that's the ultimate sign to me of forgiveness.
Absolutely.
That I want the best for me. I want the best for them. And I just don't need to be part of their lives.
I can't be. One of the big breakthroughs for this. So I grew up in a family, let's just say, was mildly alcoholic. Right. And so the problem when you're around a lot of alcohol and drug abuse is you don't have any idea what boundaries are. And all you want to do is make things cool. Right. I didn't know what boundaries were until the lesson I got from this is boundaries. I get to say no. I get to say this one works, this one doesn't work. I get to say I can be part of this, I'm not part of this. I actually got my voice from it. As opposed to a voice that was supposed to please others, I got the voice that fulfills me. And that's a big deal, you know? Yeah. And I also had this belief that I'm at a place in my life where I don't think it's possible to be happier and more fulfilled than where I'm at right now, right? And to get here, I had to go through all those dark passageways to get here, right? And yeah, some of them were really shitty, really shitty. But in going through that, the lesson learned, the power that you learn and the ability to get through that is so freaking valuable. When I see it now, I just giggle. That's all you got, you know? And it's in doing what I do now too, how that becomes valuable is I work with a lot of, we talked about, I work with a bunch of leaders, right? And these guys are face to face with real life hard decisions every single day. And who I get to be is that stand for them and kind of the Sherpa to walk them through that valley of darkness, got this one handled. Come on.
Yeah.
You think that stuff? I got some stories for you. Come on, let's go. You know,
Yeah.
it's not that I've been there and done it all, but it's, you know, you get some traction and some understanding, and you get to like, you know, you get to really appreciate this experience of life, you know? Yeah. And I'm sure with, you know, your journey, I mean, my experience of you're like this guy that's so freaking grounded. And how you get to be that grounded is you go through a lot of places that are pretty freaking ugly.
Yeah.
You know? So, and that's what I appreciate about you and what you're doing with the show. It's cool, you know? And what guys miss is when they dismiss this woman as a bitch or this or this or this, is they miss the opportunity to go through that valley of darkness for themselves. Yeah. To really work out what they need to work out. It's all a gift. You know?
Yeah. And I love it. Yeah. And I heard that saying so many times growing up, like, oh, there's a gift in your shit and be willing. Oh, I'm like, fuck you. And in the moment, it sucks.
It sucks. It really sucks.
Yeah.
It really sucks. It sucks like you can't believe.
Yeah, I just want to make sure. Just because we're saying there's a win, there's a gift, there's something to get, doesn't mean in the moment you're like, oh, good, I'm learning something.
Oh, this is the best learning experience. No, dude, this is horrible. Yeah, it's freaking horrible. You know, it really blows. Yeah.
So, have you heard other men speak about relationships like this, about feeling so shameful and feeling manipulated and lied? Is this something that guys in your circle would ever talk about?
Not too often, man, because, and I know they've gone through them, but, you know, they keep it on the down low because of the shame piece, right? And they put it over. And the problem is when you can talk about it, when you can share about it, it actually generates that forgiveness so you can move forward, you know? It's a form of grieving, man, you know?
Yeah, good point.
Because you get to the point of acceptance.
Yeah.
And dudes always stop at being angry. You know, I'm just pissed. Fuck that. Right? All that stuff, right?
Yeah. And because I find that almost keeps us in victim mode.
It does, absolutely.
Like, it's all your fault. So you just keep saying, I'm the victim of that horrible, bitchy woman. Oh, it was all her fault. Then you just keep diminishing your own power.
That's exactly it. You give them all the power. Listen, I'm a powerful dude. You do not. You want a chunk of this? Buckle up, kid. It's going to be an all-day ride. I mean, seriously. Yeah. You may win, but I'm going to be there for a long time.
Yeah.
You know?
Unless you go, you know what? I give it all to you. This chaos has me confused and thinking it might be love, or I'm loving this sex, but I'm hating the other part. But I don't know what else. I don't know how to take it apart on my own. And you go along. You give your power away.
Right. Yeah. That's exactly what happens. And that's the only way you lose power is you give it away. No one can take it from you. No.
Right.
No.
Yep.
And then you can reclaim it, and you can own it, and you can build upon it. You know, that's the real to the whole thing. So.
Yeah. Awesome. So since we both agree that there are gifts in our horrible experiences, we probably wish that we could recognize that earlier.
Yeah.
So do you have any advice for having gone through what you've gone through? Is there any advice for a guy who's realizing, you know what, I think I'm with a sociopath. I think I'm being lied to and manipulated all the time. What would you advise? Any solutions you could offer?
Get out of it as quickly as possible. You know, the only way out is through it. You know, so just exit. You know, don't try to work it out. And the other thing I would do is really locate yourself and understanding what's the real attraction. You know, I mean, is it really about the hot sex? Is that really what's driving you? And just be responsible for that, you know? And then you can create, you know, when you create, you know, the things that you want in a relationship, just have it be hot sex. Part of the thing I really need in a relationship, you know? But, you know, part of it too is we make, you know, I'm of a generation that made sex kind of dirty and kind of like forbidden a little bit, you know? So the hotness was kind of part of the attraction of it, right? Because I grew up Irish Catholic in the 60s in Chicago, right? And so sex was bad, you know? And then you're having this amazing experience, you know, like, wow, I shouldn't be doing this. And that's kind of the allure of it, right?
Right. Even more adds to it, the mystique, the magic. Like, oh, I've found the one woman in the world that this is amazing with. You know, might be telling that. Yeah.
And really start looking at that and getting responsible. The other thing too is I would seek therapeutic help. You know, I mean, go see a therapist. There's a lot of great ones. You know, I mean, he's become a really dear friend of mine, but this guy in Oak Park, Illinois, Steve Parker, has been a godsend to me, you know, and I still see him all the time. I mean, I don't see him all the time. I see him a couple times a year, And he tells me, you're the healthiest guy I know. Get the fuck out of here. But I just do, just to check in,
Yeah.
And I think that's another part of the shame. We've got this view of therapy as, oh, we must be broken. No. Professional athletes go to trainers and therapists all the time to keep themselves in top shape. If you're playing a big game, you need a pit crew,
Yeah.
So I think we got to break all that shame and all that kind of stigma around all that stuff.
Yeah, I totally agree. That's why, one of the big missions of Real Men Feel and things I say all the time is silence kills men.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we need to, and shame adds to all that. And it's not about silent about one issue. It's silent about, so many issues. And guys are, there's a litany of things that guys aren't willing to talk about. And we feel shameful about a lot more than just putting ourselves in relationships that aren't good for us as well.
Yeah. Well, that's why I'm doing Manfest, right? And that's really why I wanted to invite you, because you would really get it. And the guys I'm bringing together, I'm not sure fully get it yet. They'll get it when they leave, by the time they get out of there, But it's going to be really a curated experience for guys to really get that and start bringing things to the surface and to the open that we've never done.
Yeah.
That's why the first one's going to be a small experience. It's not going to be very big, but
cool.
Intentionally.
So your goal is to have this event become, how often would you like to see it?
Twice a year I want to do it. And I want it to grow to be a bigger event, but we got to start with a small one just so guys can get the space of it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you got to start where you are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Earlier you mentioned that men don't know about love. How might men learn and experience love easier, better, more deeply?
Man, I think the first place they got to begin, and this may sound weird, is men have to begin to really accept and love themselves. I don't think it's possible to love another until you love yourself. And that was a really hard lesson for me to get to learn.
Yeah.
And when I'm talking about loving ourselves, I'm not talking about that arrogant kind of, macho, tough, big, I'm the best kind of, that's not what I'm talking about. Just getting who you are, all of it, everything you are, everything you aren't, getting the journey, loving the journey. Getting the background, loving the family you came from, loving the town you came from, loving the challenges you went through. I think until you get there, it's going to be difficult to really get what love is, because we always view love as something external, something to go and get. It's ever present.
Yeah. I find time and time again in my own life, work with clients, if I don't love myself, no one else can fill that void. No matter how hard I try, no matter how hard they try, can't be done.
Well, and I think that's where we get caught up in the trade back with sex, right? We're trying to, I'll just go get laid, Oh, that'll make things way better. I mean, it always turns it into a bigger shit show,
Yeah.
And we can't fill that void. The only people that can fill that void for us is us,
Yeah. The first workshop I ever did was called Self-Love for Men. No, this isn't about masturbation. And I had 5 brave strangers that show up, and I was like, oh my! And I was so reactive before it. I got toxic poison ivy. My whole head was swollen, and I was like talking to energy workers, and I had someone actually able to turn the itch off. I'm just swollen. Looks like Rocky movie, all sorts of stuff. And I got that. This is all my own reaction, all my resistance to who am I to talk about self-love?
Yeah.
So I had to show up disfigured and I'm here because I love myself. And guys told me they could see the swelling go down through the course of these 2 hours that I spoke about our willingness to have self-love. And it ended up being an amazing experience.
So much of the experience we have of life is self-generated. So much of it, and that's what's both cool and crazy too. But yeah.
So realizing that you got gifts from it, and again, but it might have taken longer than you wish if you were plotting how it would work. Yeah. Is there anything that would have helped you avoid this, or did you need this experience so that you could become the man you are today?
Well, I wish I would have avoided it, but the truth is, I think this is just my journey. I think this is the way. I wouldn't have designed it this way. I would have really wished it could have been truncated, but I learned, the most valuable lessons were near the end, so you had to go all the way through it. So, I have, unfortunately, I think, I had to, but yeah.
Awesome. So is there anything else that you would like someone in that relationship, or who's just beginning to go out there, or maybe someone that's been hurt and thinks that, it's all them? Any last bits of advice for in the dating world, I guess, maybe?
I think the biggest thing is just everything is recoverable, right? Every mistake you make, as long as you have breath, you've got a chance to put it in the right direction. So just forgive yourself and bring a sense of humor to it. I mean, think about how funny it is when you're making every decision just based on getting laid. Right? You're literally thinking with your penis, right? I don't know about you, but I've noticed the penis is not really bright at, problem solving, good at problem creation, but not problem solving. And so just bring a sense of humor to it, and just get when you're a horny dude, like be responsible. I'm in my 60s. I still sometimes think, God, when am I going to stop being a horny dude? But
I find that, again, clients all the time tell them that when you can laugh at something, when you bring the power of levity to something, that shows you're healing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. If you can't laugh all the time, then there's bigger issues.
Yeah, for sure. Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, Mike, I really appreciate your willingness to break through that resistance, to share about this. We both agree this is happening to way too many guys. And I think it happens to too many guys because not enough guys are willing to say, I've been through this. You can get through it. If you find yourself in there, it's not something to be shameful over for the rest of your life. But get help, get support, end it.
Yeah. And I think I think it's even more challenging today because I think our culture is a little more narcissistic than it was even 15, 20 years ago. So I think it's more prevalent. So yeah. And if you catch yourself in this, man, get out, and if you need help, reach out to somebody. I mean, have them reach out to you, have them reach out to me. I don't care. Like get out, and then stay out.
Right. Yeah. And we all bring our wounds with us. Yeah. And if we never address them, never look at them, never give them a chance to breathe and to heal, then we're just living life and seeing life through all this like scar tissue. Right. And it keeps distorting it more and more. And each relationship can get worse and worse instead of better and better.
Well, I don't know if you've seen this, but when guys bring like brokenness or injury into another situation, be it work or a relationship, that they tend to like create this barrier, like I'm not going to go here and I'm not going to go here and I'm not going to go here. And what is happening? You have this really limited perspective on life and this really constrained viewpoint of what's possible and what I can do and what I can't do. That's not good either, Yeah. So when you forgive stuff, it just opens shit up.
Right. Yeah. Life is meant to be expansive, and even, the visions of masculinity and to be a man and what's sex, everything, every time we try to label something or put a constraint around it, we're doing ourselves a disservice.
Absolutely.
So, absolutely. Yeah. So if we could get more guys to like, I'm feeling really shameful today, and own it, like how transformative would that be?
Well, think about George Costanza and Larry David. Why are they so funny? Because the shame is just out in the open and it's funny, right?
Yeah.
And they own it fully. That's why that stuff is so funny, because it's so human.
Yeah, you're right. They don't bury anything. They don't hold it back. Yeah.
And that's a great shrinkage episode. If there's anything more shameful, it's shrinkage. The water was cold. I mean, that stuff is just hilarious, right?
Yeah.
And we got to get our sense of humor back, I think.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Well, again, silence kills men. I hope we're waking some people up, realizing, whatever you've been through, whatever you're hiding, that's giving it its power. That's giving your shadow all of your energy and focus. And, we all deserve better than that. Yeah. We deserve to feel self-loved. And it's only when you have that self-love, you can love others and receive love, truly healthy love.
Yeah.
And,
that's
cool.
Cool.
So, Mike, what's the best way for people to find out what you're up to and learn about ManFest, if there's still room for that for people?
Well, ManFest is not an open event. It's not. I'm not going out there inviting the whole world to that, because it's really a select group and it's a curated event. And so, but there will be some information on ManFest, and ManFest 2 may be a much bigger event. So, but the best way to get a hold of me is you can go to my website. I just got a new website up. It's www.mikeshereck.com. So it's my name. There was a ton of marketing went into figuring out the name of the website. So, but yeah, it's the first time I ever had a website after my name. So maybe people will look at it. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can hit me up with my email, mikeshereck@gmail.com. Yeah.
Awesome. Cool.
And don't forget my book.
Yeah. Throw it out there.
Book, Manhood Manifesto. on Amazon. So yeah, that's coming out.
Awesome.
Like a month and 3 days, something like that.
Cool. All right. Yeah. So if we'll have, visit realmanfeel.org for the show notes for the episode. We'll have links to everything Mike's up to, links to the book as well. Cause I'm sure you can pre-order it even if it's, if you're hearing about
it's available.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, if you find yourself going through hell, Churchill said, keep going.
Keep going. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't stop. And it doesn't, and that I should clarify that doesn't mean keep going in this awful relationship.
No.
It's like, no, this is horrible. It's draining me. It's literally killing me.
Go through it. Get it over.
Again, you deserve better. You're worthy of better.
Yeah.
Once you get under the thumb of giving your power away and you believe the lies and the manipulation because there's something wrong with me, that's a horrible place to live, and you don't have to stay there.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Cool. Awesome. So wherever you're discovering Real Men Feel, give us a like, a share, subscription. Let someone else, let a guy know that he should listen to this. You can literally save a life by sharing the right show with somebody else.
Yeah.
So I invite you to do that. And until next time, thanks, Mike. Thanks for everyone for listening, and
brother,
be good to yourself.